I'm Dylan.
And I'm Kiyan.
This is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we spend 10 minutes running around Amsterdam because this week we watched Arc of Infinity.
Written by Johnny Byrne.
Directed by Ron Jones.
And aired in January of 1983.
Yep, we're in 1983 now.
Whoa.
Whoa. Yeah. Arc of Infinity.
Yep, the beginning of season 20.
Yeah, apparently every serial this season features, I guess, a callback or a plot element from the past that they're recycling under the guise of it being a celebration.
Paying homage to.
So...
kind of like the new Star Wars. Anyway. I'm just kidding.
So...
kind of.
Well, I guess we won't reveal what the plot element was this week yet. We'll reveal it when they reveal it in the serial.
Or when they... Never mind. I mean, when they first say antimatter universe, you're like, hey, wait a minute. Is it Omega? But I won't spoil whether it is or not. I mean, that's the first thing I thought, like, yeah.
I guess we can have fun this season trying to spot all those plot throwbacks / homages / thefts.
Well, the thing is... Okay, well, I'll get there. Since we're apparently trying not to spoil it. We've already failed at.
So it begins with some guys in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
Yeah. I couldn't tell it was Amsterdam, but then they so expertly revealed it through dialogue.
Oh, you mean... Oh man, I lost my passport. These Dutch police don't like it when we lose passports.
The other guy's like, don't worry, they're very friendly here in Amsterdam. No, it actually wasn't that bad, but... Okay. Well, they're in Amsterdam, so... They're like backpackers or whatever.
I'm just going to immediately point out that it got very confusing because it was a guy in a phone booth who was talking on the phone with, I guess, someone from the hostel. He's like, oh yeah, can you like put us up for the night? It's like, okay, they're going to go to the hostel. But then they're like, no, we're going to go sleep in the crypt.
I thought he was talking to Tegan.
I'm
pretty sure he was talking to Tegan, because then after that, he's like, hey, I lost my passport, and we don't have anywhere to stay tonight. The guy's like, don't worry, I know this tomb. No,
but isn't the guy who lost his passport not Tegan's cousin?
It was the other guy. It was the other guy.
Okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, the guy who sounded like Kermit the Frog.
Looked like him, too.
No. Yeah, he was all green and... No.
No.
He didn't really have eyes, no. So, yeah, they're gonna go spend the night in this crypt. They show up at this, I guess it's a hostel or just... I don't know what it is, but they're like... The guy's like... gonna go in the front door, and he's like, no, there's this other entrance around the back. And they crawl through some bushes and go into an underground little waterway type thing.
Yeah, and what's his name? It's Colin Frasier, right?
Yeah, Colin is Tegan's cousin.
Is that like a reference to Frasier Hines? They do that on purpose? Probably
not, but hey, we can always say that it is.
Yeah, Colin's like, yeah, this is kind of sketchy. I don't really know if I want to stay in this script. This isn't all at once, by the way. This is kind of intercut throughout the episode. But
we're just explaining it like this because it's easier.
Makes more sense.
And apparently Amsterdam is below sea level. And they're staying in like this underground area with water pipes everywhere. Yeah, Colin's kind of scared. And then his friend is like, don't worry, nothing bad will happen.
What's his friend's name? His friend was far more important to the plot than Colin was.
I mean, they both
Robin.
weren't... What? Robin? Okay. I mean, they were both really not good actors. So.
That doesn't mean they weren't integral to the plot, though.
No, and I'm just pointing it out, like, their acting kind of sucked.
Yeah, it kind of did.
Meanwhile, the doctor's fixing the audio circuit thing on the TARDIS.
Yeah, for the little scannamabob. Apparently it hasn't had audio for a while.
For 100 years. Well, That's what he says. He's like, say you'll fix something tomorrow, and it ends up being 100 years later, and it's still not fixed. And I'm like, yep, I know how that is.
So then the doctor's like, well, that's enough repairs for today. I'm going to go to sleep. And this is all, but what about the console? The Cybermen shot the console and you haven't fixed it yet. And the doctor's like, it'll be fine.
Not to mention Tegan, because they don't mention Tegan. I just assume that this took place, probably a fair amount of time after they'd realized. I assumed. And they're just like, well, Tegan's on Earth. We'll just leave her there.
I assumed the Cybermen shot the console line was an excuse for, this is why we haven't picked up Tegan yet.
It is kind of weird, though, I think, that they didn't even mention her at all. Yeah. Especially when they kind of, intentionally ended the season with her getting stranded. Well, stranded, quote unquote, where she was supposed to be.
Where she had been wanting to be for 2 serials and then changed her mind 1 serial later. No, but I did like the way that they reintroduced her later, which we'll get to in a bit.
I want to know why she lost her job.
Maybe she kept telling passengers about her travels with the doctor, and the captain or the head of the airline was like, yeah, it's not really okay. So then, all of a sudden, the TARDIS gets sucked into some sci-fi nonsense.
Yeah, there's, intermittent cuts to a shadowy figure talking to a bug-like figure who looks all discolored.
Looks like and then there's that dinosaur-looking creature.
Yeah, there's the pterodactyl guy. Ergon. I didn't know if his name was Ergon or if that was his species or I don't know. But he looked.
The Doctor mentions in episode 4 that main villain created Ergon. So
all right. Yeah, the costumes are actually kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Especially main villains. Although it was it was interesting, different.
The second serial in a row where the villain's face oozes green liquid.
What, do you think it's going to become a running theme or something?
Maybe.
Okay. But in this magnetic field thing, the Doctor gets attacked by the main villain, shadowy figure from the antimatter universe.
Yeah, he's kind of possessed almost, but he drives him out of his mind or something.
Something about the TARDIS or something. Oh yeah. Nissa makes this really snide, passive-aggressive comment at the Doctor when she's mentioning the Cybermen shooting the console. She's like, I thought the TARDIS existed on a plane of grace and that nobody could shoot weapons inside the TARDIS. And the Doctor's like, yeah, well, people make mistakes.
It's not that passive-aggressive.
It felt like
curious. I don't know how she delivered it, because I don't really remember that line, but...
Felt like a jab at whoever wrote Earthshock. Like, hey, you're not supposed to shoot weapons inside the TARDIS.
Well, Nissa actually gets pretty trigger-happy herself later on.
So, yeah, Nissa's like, well, let's go heal up, Doctor. Meanwhile...
On Gallifrey. On Gallifrey. The politicians are doing some politics.
The politicians are politicking.
They're politicking me off.
They're talking about some biodata being stolen. It was the Doctor's.
But, they don't want to admit it was the Doctor's, even though there's, a bunch of evidence that points to the fact that it was. They're just like, yeah, we don't know for sure. We're 99.9% sure, but we don't know for sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
They were just being
politicians.
Yeah.
They were also somehow aware of the fact that the main villain had tried to bond with the Doctor. That was why his biodata had been stolen. I'm not sure how. They don't mention how. But they just accept that they know that. And then there's a guy working in the Matrix room who gets shot by someone. There's a traitor on the main council.
Yeah, that's what the whole thing was like, who's the traitor? It's a big mystery. But I mean, I didn't really care who the traitor was.
Oh, I did.
I was like,
I like the twist of who it was, though.
it's kind of obvious. I mean,
Was it, though? Was
yeah,
it really?
they like, I don't know, they tried not to cast suspicion on him so much, and then it like turned out to be him. It was like, okay, yeah, that's
Okay. It didn't feel
I
obvious
don't know.
to me.
At first, I was like, yeah, it's him, and then I was like, wait, is it really him? I don't know. And then it turned out to be him. I was like, okay, yeah, it's him.
It didn't feel that obvious to me. We're talking about it without actually mentioning who it is or what he's done, so...
Yeah, because we're trying not to spoil.
Okay, well, I guess we'll talk about that in a bit.
Well, one of the people on the council is played by the same guy who played the Celestial Toymaker,
Yeah.
which I would have never noticed, but apparently you did.
Well, I recognized and was like, hey, who is that? And it's like, oh, it's Michael Goch or Gooch or Go, or however you say his last name. Apparently he was also married to Annika Wills, who played Polly.
Huh. It's weird.
And he played Alfred in those Tim Burton Batman movies.
All right.
I found all of this out yesterday while I was looking.
He kind of looks like a Who from Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was interesting. They're
Yeah,
reusing
it
actors.
was. 20 years later. I
Well,
guess that
it
was
really
another,
is 20 years later. Wow.
I guess it is sort of another callback. Probably not intentional.
No, I don't think so. So, anyway,
They term drop the antimatter universe or whatever. I was like, oh yeah, that place where Omega was causing all that havoc.
where he was causing a ruckus.
Sure, he isn't in this.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not Omega. Omega. Nyssa name drops reversing the polarity. She's like,
Yeah, at some
that
point.
creature is trying to reverse the polarity. The doctor's like, yep, he is.
Yeah, apparently what the creature is trying to do, I don't know if we mentioned, is like materialize itself in this world, but it's like stuck in the antimatter world.
Yeah.
And it needs like a conduit
And lots of
form
power.
of, yeah. So he's like, hey, I'll use a Time Lord. I don't know. I kind of didn't follow that. I got
Did
the main
anyone?
I got the main gist of it, so I guess that's all that really counts there.
Yeah, so the Time Lord Council's like, well, we're going to recall the Doctor then. Apparently the TARDIS has a recall circuit, which begs the question, why haven't they used that before?
Well, I think it's just like against common policy, where it's like, because the Doctor mentions, oh, it's only been used twice in the history of everything forever.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have only been used like one or two times before in the history of ever this serial.
What were the other?
Well, apparently only one other Time Lord's ever been executed.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what the other two times they used the recall circuit were.
And why didn't they just recall the Doctor when he ran away? Like, hey man, why are you running away? Recall.
Every time he tries to leave, they just press the button. So you're not gonna get away.
Why didn't they recall all those other Time Lords that escape and like
they
kill
should-
millions of people
Okay.
like the Master?
Yeah, maybe the Doctor they can give a pass, but yeah, they definitely should have recalled the Master.
But they don't, so I guess
Well,
that makes them complacent in murder and genocide.
Yeah, they're accessories. They're all accessories to murder and genocide. They're accessories to genocide. Yeah, well, they're Time Lords, so I'm not surprised that.
Yeah, so they really don't care about anything.
And at this point, I would expect them to just debate over whether to press the button rather than actually press it. I don't know if it's a button or like a lever or a switch or what, but
Pull the lever, Gronk. Well, unsurprising, the Time Lords don't care because they've never cared about anything except when it threatens their homeworld, which apparently the main villain does, so they recall the Doctor because their plan is to kill the Doctor and then the villain won't have a conduit, and they think this is a good plan. I guess they don't consider the fact that the villain can just use someone else as a conduit. It would just need to get their biodata.
I think what they think is that the Doctor is helping the villain, but they're like not sure. But they're just like, yeah, we're gonna kill you, Doctor.
Well, they do shoot him. It was still in episode 1, by the way. He finally makes it to Gallifrey, and he escapes the room, and he's running around, and then all of a sudden, Commander Maxwell shows up and just shoots the Doctor. And that's how episode 1 ends. The Doctor just gets shot.
Yeah, he lives.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know.
Commander Maxwell is played by Colin Baker, who will play the 6th Doctor. So,
Oh, I thought he was played by Will Ferrell. No, I'm just kidding.
a young Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell must have been like 4 when this serial was recorded.
He went to our high school, actually, but,
Yeah.
yeah, no, he does look like Will Ferrell, though. Kinda.
I mean, not anymore,
Yeah,
which
not
is
anymore.
what you said when you saw a picture of him now. You're like, whoa, not anymore. So, yeah, kind of weird, I guess.
But not that weird.
No.
I thought we'd seen Maxwell before.
No.
No?
You're probably thinking of the Castellan, who appears in every Gallifrey serial
No.
as a different person.
No, I thought we'd seen a guard who looked strikingly similar to Maxwell, but
Well, it
I don't
wasn't
know.
Maxwell. Was it Andred?
I don't think it was Andred. They mentioned Leela.
And Romana,
Yeah.
which was nice. Bringing some continuity in. Yeah, the council's like, you failed to return Romana. And the doctor's like, that was her choice. That wasn't my choice. I didn't do that. And then later he's like, oh yeah, sorry I missed Leela's wedding. But I'm sure I can stop by at some point. But he doesn't because he spends all of his time on Gallifrey trying not to get killed. Because apparently everyone hates him. Except Tedden. He's the only council member who's like, Doctor!
Nissa! No.
Yeah, he's the one who's played by the Celestial Toymaker, so. Yeah.
Yeah, the only one who's kind of on the Doctor's side.
Yeah, even Barus is like, Doctor, I don't believe you.
Yeah, Barusa's like the president now.
Somehow. I guess when the Doctor left Gallifrey at the end of the Invasion of Time, he left the presidency open. He vacated the presidency. So I guess Barus campaigned for his position and won?
Or stepped in.
Or just political coup.
Yeah, so Barusa has regenerated.
Again. This is my favorite incarnation of Barusa, by the way. I don't know why.
Why?
I just really enjoyed this Barusa. It's a lot of fun. Meanwhile,
If by a lot of fun, you mean like as generic as possible. And just as
better than the other Barusas.
decently acted. Like, he wasn't a bad actor, but he was just like
Unlike
nothing
the-
special
better than
about
the
him.
other Barusas.
I don't know. I didn't really care one way or the other.
Better than the other Barusas. I was reading Barusa's
Yeah, no.
wiki page. And in, one of the future novels, he basically gets tortured and killed. So that's great.
Yeah, no, that actually is great because... No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway. Meanwhile, in Amsterdam,
Meanwhile, in Amsterdam...
Colin gets shot.
Yeah, they're sleeping in this crypt. Colin wakes up. He's like, hey...
This is a
This is-
crypt.
He hears something or the other, and he wakes up, what's his face?
Robin.
Robin. And Robin's like, yeah, just go back to sleep. So Colin steps out for a bit in his socks. It's pretty gross, but... and, yeah, gets shot
By
by a dinosaur. Don't you hate when that happens?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that really sucks. Every Sunday. So Robin wakes up and he's like, Colin, where are you? And he sees Colin working for the dinosaur. So he's like, oh, shoot. Gotta go get the police. Obviously, the police don't believe him because apparently...
Because he's a foreigner.
Yeah.
Well, one, because the story is crazy, and two, because he's... Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
so
from
he
around there.
goes to the hostel and he's like, hey, I'm checking in. One wonders why he didn't check in the day before, but
Because they probably didn't have reservations, so that's why they were staying in the crypt.
they did have a reservation because they had Colin's name.
Yeah, but I
down.
think it was for like that day. So
Well,
they-
she asks how long he's going to stay for.
Yeah, but I don't
And
think
he's
they
like a
could have.
couple days.
I don't think they could have showed up before that day. Is what I got out of that.
Why
Which
would
is why they were
why
sleeping
would
in
they
the crypt.
arrive in Amsterdam the day before the reservation? Who does
Don't
that?
ask me.
What? That's the most confusing thing about the
They
serial.
look like they're just backpacking around, so people
Well,
with nothing better to do with their time except make podcasts. No, I'm just kidding.
um,
Kind of.
except we do have better things to do with our time. That's why we end up recording at weird times sometimes.
Speak for yourself.
Maybe I am.
It's like 9 o'clock on a Friday morning and we're here recording a podcast. Anyway.
So Robin's like, hey, you got a caller on that list? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm his friend. Can I stay? And she's like, yeah. His cousin's supposed to arrive today at the airport.
Airports. I wonder which Doctor Who companion has to
We've
do...
already given away that it was Tegan.
Oh, I thought it was Steven. I mean, he was a pilot.
Yeah, but he got left on a planet in the future.
Maybe it was
king.
Ben. They have a lot of planes in the Navy. No, it's Tegan.
Like I said, we've already
No,
given...
it's Dodo.
We
No.
already explicitly stated that it was Tegan
Yeah.
when we were talking about the phone booth.
And now we're doing it again.
Okay.
It's Tegan with a brand new haircut and a
And
brand
outfit.
new not having a job anymore.
And a brand new outlook on life. I don't know.
Not really.
Yeah, she shows up and then Robin explains everything. She's like, oh man, this is like what the Doctor usually gets into.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, maybe? I don't know
He's
who this
like,
Doctor
yes, it
fellow
is. No.
Meanwhile, on Gallifrey, they execute the Doctor.
Yeah, Nyssa tries to stop them by, like, stealing a gun.
And gunning down some guards.
Yeah, she kills some people.
They have a little powwow on the TARDIS at one point. His buddy Damon, not to be confused with Matt Damon, who plays Jason Bourne. You should check out Triple Play. Damon's like, hey, Doctor, I've got proof that your biodata was stolen. The reason why they can't tell the council that the Doctor's biodata was stolen, which they have a little council meeting and they all agree to kill the Doctor except for Hedden.
But apparently it's majority rules, so...
Um,
It was kind of weird, though. The Doctor's like, did you all unanimously agree to kill me? And they're like, nope, it was just the majority. And I was like, huh, it's kind of weird. I just wondered why he asked if it was unanimous.
Well, I thought he asked because he was going to be like, you need a unanimous decision to execute someone. But, no, apparently.
No.
This is just a question. Was the previous Time Lord that they were referring to that was executed Morbius?
I don't freaking know.
I'm just wondering, because, Morbius was what, disintegrated or whatever back before the brain of Morbius?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. So they are going to kill the Doctor. They have a little powwow. The Doctor tells Damon how to finagle with the execution chamber because instead of apparently shooting the Doctor or lethally injecting him or like
Pushing him
electric
off a
chair,
cliff.
or you pushing him off a cliff, or just stabbing him, they're going to put him in this chamber that's going to kill him.
Yeah, it's not even really a chamber. It's sort of just like an area off to the side that looks like it looks like lethal gas comes out of it, but it does, I guess it's not because it's not really contained or anything. So it's like, are you guys just gonna let that gas just float around the room? But I guess it wasn't the gas killing him. I guess I really don't know. It's just sort of like an area off to the side where he dies.
So, yeah, I guess they do it this way because it ensures you won't regenerate, but they can just, like, stab him 12 times or whatever.
That would be painful. Should have, like, a little mob around him, stabbing him until he can't regenerate anymore.
And then Leela finds out the Doctor was executed and she breaks down and goes on a
Leela?
motor... yeah, she's on Gallifrey still.
Oh, I thought you meant Nyssa.
No. And This has already been calmed by the doctor being like, this is what I have to do. But Leela isn't. Leela's still like a warrior, just chilling on Gallifrey with an attachment to the doctor, so if she found out he'd been executed, I feel like she would go around murdering some fools.
Alright. Maybe she does. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know because she doesn't show up.
Darn.
Meanwhile, in Amsterdam, Tegan is looking in the crypt.
Yeah, they have this whole conversation about how they can't go to the police, and then Robin isn't really doing much, so Tegan is like, yeah, I'll just do everything.
Yeah, Tegan, you go. Take control. But
So
they
they
go
go-
into the crypt and they get shot by Egan, so...
But not before Tegan questions why they were in the crypt multiple times, which is what any sane person would do.
Robin's all, don't worry about it.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, it probably would have just been better to sleep on a bench
Yeah.
instead of a crypt.
So, yeah, they get shot by Egan. And then main villain pops up.
Ergon, whatever his name
Ergon.
was. Yeah. Did you ever read that book,
Yeah,
Aragon?
No. Did you ever watch that movie, Aragon?
Yeah, the movie was terrible. The book wasn't much better, but it was still better than the movie. I don't know.
Isn't
liked it
that
as a
true
kid.
in like almost every case, though? Haven't we said that the book is almost always better than the movie?
Yeah, almost always.
Except when they chuck out the plot of the novel and make a movie that's the novel in name only. Yeah, the Doctor's dead.
No, he's just in the Matrix.
Some nonsense happens. The Matrix looks different this time. Now it looks
Yeah.
like the Doctor's floating in a swimming pool.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. He's kind of just floating. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like these white lines everywhere.
Beams.
Yeah. So his mind is in the Matrix somehow. They explain how, but
Gets
heck if I
jacked
know.
in. Yeah, it's like when he gets killed in that chamber, they transported his mind into the Matrix and his body got shielded by some sci-fi mumbo-jumbo. I don't know. Anyway, the main villain is all, I'm gonna kill you, Doctor, because I need that chamber and your death to power my return. Also something about the Arc of Infinity being aligned along Amsterdam so he can get a lot of
Yeah.
power.
Yeah, we didn't mention the Arc of Infinity, which is what the serial is called. They mentioned it in the beginning of the first episode, but I don't know, it's just some power line
It's some
type
sort
thing.
of temporal fault line, I think. That,
Okay.
because at the end of the serial, they're like, it's moving away from Amsterdam. Main villain doesn't have enough power. But that doesn't matter, I guess. Turns out the main villain didn't need the Doctor to stop him because everything he does fails. Meanwhile, on Gallifrey, the Castellan, who's been super eager to kill the Doctor until now, has been like, oh shoot, we were wrong. His biodata was stolen. The Doctor's probably still guilty, but now we think Barusa was in on it. This is the worst Castellan ever.
This is the worst council ever. Meanwhile, Nyssa and Damon are like... Well, Nyssa wants to keep trying to help the Doctor / prove his innocence / save him somehow, and Damon's like, it's over. He's dead, Nyssa.
Except Damon knows the Doctor's not dead, because Damon was the one who messed with the execution chamber to save his body or some nonsense. Or was that
what
the
it
main
was?
villain? I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
I really don't know.
the way that the villain worded it, it was like, I did this to save your body because I need it, but then later on it was like heavily implied that Damon had messed with it because the Castellan's all, you knew this, and then the Doctor comes in and is like, Damon, did you do what I wanted you to do? So I don't know. Damon gets the Doctor a circuit that doesn't have a recall circuit, so
So that's why they never use it again. I like how we're still just calling him the villain, even though we pretty much already said who it was.
we said we're not going to reveal it till they reveal it in the serial, which is right at the end of episode 3, which is coming up right now because the Doctor So the villain captures Tegan and then uses Tegan to convince the Doctor not to mess up his plans. Look, the villain and the council member Mole are talking, and the Mole's like, look, the only way we can do this is if we release the Doctor. And the villain's like, but then he'll mess up our plans. But then they do it anyway, and he messes up their plans.
Well, their plans, like, semi-succeed after that. But, I don't know, even if the Doctor wasn't there, he still wouldn't have succeeded.
Yeah, except he would have
They might have
blown up and killed, everyone.
He might have killed a couple more people, but...
A couple more, probably everyone on Earth.
But what's that compared to...
To what, a quarter of the universe in Legopolis?
I was just going to say everyone on Earth and everyone on... Mars, yeah.
All
like
those
Matt
Ice
Damon.
Warriors.
Yeah, that was actually the 5th Jason Bourne movie, just to let you guys know.
The Martian.
It's James Bourne on Mars. The musical. The movie.
I would watch that. I don't know if I'd enjoy it, but I'd watch it. So, the Castellan, back up, okay. Hedden busts into Barusa's chambers like, Barusa, you're gonna shut down the Matrix, and Barusa's like, can't do that, Hedden. And then the Doctor
I
busts in.
can't let you do that, Hedden.
The Doctor busts in and is like, Hedden, what are you doing? And Hedden's like, I'm the traitor, Doctor. And then the Castellan busts in, and he's like, Doctor, you're the traitor, I'm gonna kill you. And Hedden's like, no! And Hedden gets shot.
Yeah, he shoots Hedden.
Hedden sacrifices himself to save the Doctor for some reason, even though this whole serial he's been working both to kill the Doctor and save him. I don't know. Hedden's motivations were a little bit unclear. He tries to have this big, epic speech right before he dies about how the villain, who he reveals is Omega, as if we hadn't given it away already, is going to save everyone and is going to come back and make Time Lord Society great again.
Jesus.
But it doesn't really make sense. I don't understand Hedden's motivation to save the Doctor, first of all.
Maybe he's just crazy.
Probably. But anyway, now the Doctor's like, you just shot the traitor. You could have told us everything about Omega. Now we're all doomed because Omega's coming back. He was kind of a bad dude. I would know. I had to take 3 incarnations to seal him away again. / kill him. But he survived somehow. He's the master. That's the twist.
He's Khalid now.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Omega's costume was a lot different than the last time he showed up.
Yeah.
Inexplicably. Which,
Yeah.
I really liked his
I guess-
previous outfit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this was just a helmet, too, because he doesn't really have a
Yeah.
head, so...
I guess he got a new
Yeah.
helmet.
With a cool ant motif.
He met some Zarbi while he was there. They should bring back the Zarbi. It should be next week's.
The villain that everyone wants back.
You're telling me you don't want the Animus and the Zarbi back?
Well, no, I'm telling you I do want them back. Because everyone wants them back.
Hashtag bring them back in the reboot. Let's start a campaign. Let's write Stephen Moffat, bring back the Zarbi. It can just be a super educational episode. They're in a giant ant farm with some Zarbi, and they're like, these are the Zarbi. They're like ants, but bigger.
They can pit real ants against Zarbi. Not that the Zarbi aren't real. I'm sure they exist out there somewhere. Can't
They're just
discredit the Zarbi
They're just
like
not
that.
real ants.
Yeah, they're not real ants.
They're aliens who walk on 2 feet and... Okay.
And wear
Where?
pants
Okay, that's enough
they
of the
got from 20th
Zarbi
century
tangent. We're
Earth.
done. Zarbi tangent done.
The Zarbi tangent is never done.
So they well, the Doctor's like, we need to leave, and Bruce is like, we'll contrive a way for you to leave. So they do some sort of feedback loop so that Omega doesn't notice them leave, and then they land. Somehow the Doctor successfully lands the TARDIS in Amsterdam in the right year, even though Tegan only told the doctor that she was in Amsterdam.
Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of helps the serial get wrapped up in 20 minutes.
Does it, though? Because they spend the next 10 running around Amsterdam.
They spend they can't use the TARDIS because Omega will detect it or something. So they need to call a bunch of places to find out where Tegan is, but they can't because they don't have any money.
Yeah, the doctor asks Nyssa for money, and then Nyssa looks at him like, are you serious? Then he starts pulling all the stuff out of his pocket to kill another 2 minutes. Pulls out that cricket ball he's so fond of.
And some string. Don't forget the string.
No sonic screwdriver, though, because it was blown up in the visitation.
So yeah, then they spend like 10 more minutes running around.
Yeah, they spend 2 or 3.
Yeah, they spend like a couple minutes getting to where Omega is. And then Omega oozes green goop out of his face, and all of a sudden he's the doctor.
Whoa! And then they run around Amsterdam, and Omega slowly decays. The doctor's like, oh no, if we let Omega decay, he'll like become antimatter, and he'll touch matter, and he'll blow up, and everyone will die. And, you know, that's pretty bad, so... You know.
So we can't do that. So yeah, he's Peter Davison, but he's like dubbed over, I think.
Yeah, well,
pretty sure.
Right when he transforms into the Doctor, I don't think he's dubbed, but I think as he gets antimatterized, he gets dubbed.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So now the 5th Doctor has his look-alike serial. Well, not really to the same extent, but I guess.
I guess every Doctor has to have theirs.
Except the 3rd Doctor. But Nyssa had hers.
Yeah, well,
so.
John Pertwee basically played the... Never mind. Let's just not go there.
Okay, I have no idea what you were going to say. But...
I was going to say that his Doctor was basically the evil version anyway.
Not really.
But
yeah, then they just spend 10 more minutes running around. Omega...
runs into an alley.
Wreaks some havoc. Like, he pushes some people down, and, well, he kills a guy. He kills, like, some gardener.
Yeah, to steal his clothes.
Yeah, and then he, like, pushes some people down. The worst villain
He runs
ever.
into an alleyway, and a dog starts barking at him. He's like, oh, no. So he runs away.
He eventually gets to a dock or something.
Yeah, and then the Doctor's like, I can either kill you or send you back to the antimatter universe. And Omega's like, don't make me.
Omega makes, like, this big speech.
It also doesn't really work.
Yeah, no, I actually kind of liked what he says here. But I don't really remember it. I just remember liking it.
It's something like, oh, you condemn me to a fate worse than death, Doctor. He's like, but you're going to kill all these people. And Omega's like, what are all these people but to live a life with nobody? And he's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I also thought it was kind of out there. Not out there, but it's just like, okay, just get it over with, Omega.
Yeah,
I also liked it, so.
Like, willing his own destruction so he'll destroy the Earth or whatever, and the Doctor just shoots him in the shoulder, and then he dies, I guess. I don't know. Somehow that doesn't blow up the Earth.
Yeah,
and then
I mean...
this is like, is he dead? Doctor's like, well, we thought we killed him last time, and he came back, but sure, yeah, he's dead.
And, yeah,
the Time Lords celebrate.
Yeah. Over Hedden's dead body, no.
Oh.
Tegan doesn't have a job anymore. She lost it, so
Oh yeah,
she's back.
The Doctor's like, thanks for the help, Tegan. Okay, bye. And Tegan's like, hey, I lost my job. I guess I'm stuck with you full time. And the Doctor smiles like, I guess you are. And then right before it ends, there's like a couple frames of his oh shit face.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I guess you are. And then he kind of just frowns. and then it goes to the credits.
Well, he like smiles, and then right before the credits, there's like a half a second of him frowning, and you're like, oh.
I guess he thought, no, I guess Peter Davison, like, I guess they just ended there, you know?
Yeah.
They just cut or whatever. But it still got in, so it's kind of funny. He's like, oh, damn it, Tegan's back.
Yeah, so that's Arc of Infinity.
Yeah, a good start to season 20. Well, maybe not good, but
a
decent start to season 20.
Yeah, it's decent. It was decent.
I didn't hate it. I obviously didn't love it, but again, it's just middle of the road. But it wasn't bad. wasn't on the bad side of mediocre, like you called Fort of Doomsday. It's on
Yeah,
the good side of mediocre, like most
like most.
serials. So glad we didn't do a Tegan retrospective last time.
Yeah, that'd be awkward.
Yeah, 'cause she's back.
Well, I actually enjoyed the way that they brought her back. They didn't just have her show up at the beginning like, oh man, really great that we went back for Tegan.
Yeah.
I also like that she was involved in the plot, like it was her cousin that got kidnapped. Although, side note, it must suck to be Tegan, because your aunt got killed by the monster and your cousin gets kidnapped by an Omega. But I liked that the doctor didn't know she was coming in, and then Omega's like, haha, I captured Tegan. The doc's like, ah, darn.
Oh, darn.
Well, I mean, it does provide a nice, interesting look to the companion's life post traveling with the Doctor briefly, because Tegan rejoins the TARDIS. But it was kind of like Sarah Jane in K9 and Company, you know, after traveling with the Doctor, she's still kind of embroiled in all this alien voodoo.
Yeah, and I imagine they don't really say. She doesn't mention how long it's been since they dropped her off, but it's probably been some good amount of time.
A couple of months. If we assume the serial takes place in real time, like Time Flight did, then it would be like 6 months.
Ish.
Yeah, actually, closer to 10 months, I guess, yeah.
So that was nice. And I mean, they're bringing back an element of the show for every serial this season. So the first one was Omega. I don't know if they're going to sort of ramp it up.
Well, I know what the element is in Mordrin Undead, so that's unfortunate, but I'm actually looking forward to that. You'll find out what that is in 2 weeks. Yeah, I guess because it's the 20th season, like Doctor Who's existed for 20 years, guys. Let's do something big. Because obviously it ends, the season ends with the 5 Doctors. The big, quote-unquote, 5 Doctors, because William Hartnell's actually passed away by this point. And Tom Baker didn't want to participate, so... It's more like 3 Doctors, a recast actor, and a wax mold.
All right.
No, yeah, they get a wax mold of Tom Baker. I don't know if you knew this, but if you look at the publicity photos, it's like really creepy because it's like they're all just standing there and there's like a wax mold of Tom in the middle.
A cardboard cutout.
It's like a wax figure of Tom in the middle standing there. It's really unnerving, actually. But yeah, that's...
yeah, there was actually more I wanted to say about this, but I'm completely blanking on it now. So I guess I just won't mention it.
Well, I guess it's nice that they brought Omega back, because he felt like a big villain before. It's nice to see him.
He feels like sort of a lesser villain now that we've watched this.
Feel like a little bit of a lesser villain now, but...
it's the Dalek effect, you know? The more they keep showing up, the less menacing they seem.
Yeah, but, I mean, I do enjoy it when they bring back... Like, I would prefer that they bring back villains as opposed to, like, landing on Earth every other week.
Yeah, like, I agree with that. And I'm not going to give them too much of a hard time for bringing back villains on the 20th anniversary season.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what other things they do this season, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's Arc of Infinity. This serial was written by the guy who wrote Keeper of Traken, by the way. The guy who's still getting royalties for Nyssa being on the show.
Yeah, Nyssa sort of, I guess, has some character development-ish stuff here. Or like, they kind of set her up as being really trigger-happy now all of a sudden. And I wonder if they're going to go anywhere with that. Probably not, but...
Well, I think what they were going for in this serial was the Doctor's going to die because his own people are going to kill him. And I think they were trying to show that Nyssa was like really attached to the Doctor because... The Doctor saved her from the destruction of her homeworld, you know. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know if they were just going to drop that after this, or I don't know.
I don't think they'll drop it so much as she'll become less trigger happy, but she still has been and still will be devoted to the Doctor because of what he's done for her. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was something more here, though. She like really wanted to use that gun.
She was distraught. We'll see. I feel like it was just kind of... She's devoted to the Doctor. But I guess we'll see how that plays out.
I mean, it's probably not going to play out in any way, but it's just how you want to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, the Doctor doesn't really like it when his companions become trigger happy. Kind of crapped all over Adric like every other week for that. But anyway, email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on Tegan's exit and re-entrance. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play, all at Trust Your Doctor. And check out the website.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook, and also check us out on Twitter, 2ID Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next week, we watch Snake Dance. But until then, the end.